What is poppin', y'all? We are back in the building for Surviving El Chapo Season 2, Episode 6. Thank you all for being here. Those that jump in, those that jump out, salutes to y'all. If you catch the playback, salutes to you too. Make sure you hit the subscribe, the like button, hit the notification bell so we can keep this channel moving forward. Salutes to the chat right now. God's Beauty, you made it. You made it. God's Beauty been trying to catch a live for a while. She's been catching the playback, but today just happened to be her day. She caught the live. Salute to Old Soul in the chat. Let's fucking go. I said fucking too early. I'm going to have to edit that out because YouTube will demonetize this video over that. Let's see. How many seconds in are we? We're only like 51 seconds into the real deal. So, yeah, they're gonna come after me because I said the word fuck. But fuck them. Salute to y'all. I'm glad y'all here. Again, to everybody catching the playback, to everybody coming in live, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so that you can stay abreast of these cartel creations that we're going through over here. Tomorrow, Chapter 4, Cartel Wives, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, will go live. Cartel Wives will go live. Chapter 4. We covered Val last chapter. We're going to cover Vivi this chapter. What else? Couple housekeeping situations we got here. We have a TTS link in the description. A TTS link is text-to-speech. You can leave a comment directly on my screen for a $2 donation. It'll look something like this.
Test user sent $50 test message.
So there's a link for that. And then we also have $5 text-to-speech plus a media link, meaning you can send a YouTube link live on my screen with a message like that one just did. And I will react to that video. Assuming it's appropriate, I'll react to that video right then and there on the show. But aside from all of that good stuff, we got Surviving El Chapo Season 2, Episode 6. This episode is called Trial Preparation, Recapturing El Chapo. Last episode, Chapo jumped on his little monorail with his little motorcycle and his little... Shout out to Chad Devine. Chad Devine was like, it's not a monorail. You're right. It was a dual rail. A rail nonetheless. A bike on a rail nonetheless. But he broke out of prison with the help of whoever the hell built that tunnel, which his wife was incarcerated for being part of that. She did 18 months, so, you know. But yeah, he had him build the tunnel. Of course, guards had to be involved. The prison had to be involved. A lot of people had to be involved. There was mad tools going off, mad loud, but at some point or another, he popped the hatch, jumped down there on a bike, and disappeared. Last we heard in the episode, one of the twins was in his cell, and somebody came in and let it be known to him, Chapo is outside, and he called his family or somehow, you know, kited his way to the family and got the information out there that Chapo was outside. By then, it was probably all over the news. Anyway. So yeah, let's get it. I appreciate y'all for being here. Let's kick it for a little while. Smoke them if you got them. And I did it early this week. We did it at 6 p.m. last week. We had a good turnout. This week I had to do it early. I got something popping later. But here we are. Per usual, we're on time even when we're late. Episode 1. Again, for the people that don't know, I take these lives. I edit out commercials, gibberish, bullshit, and also re-upload those to the Surviving El Chapo playlist. So here we go. We gotta get past all these ads and shit. Okay, it's not playing.
This is a transformative time for Black America. Our income/blueprints.
Shop the largest selection.
Different. It doesn't care when you... Territory customers by Payward Ventures Inc., PVI, DBA Kraken. View PVI's disclosures at kraken.com/legal/disclosures.
Kraken. Here we go.
I think there's something weird or supernatural about twins, and You know, I can't even explain it, but I remember the first time the government came to prep me for the Chapo trial. They're like, how many languages do you speak? And I said 3. And they're
English, Spanish, and twin.
like, okay, English, Spanish, and the third one, I'm like, twin. And they're like, okay. I said, because I realized over the years that my brother and I had like a special way to communicate. And you notice it more when you're apart, because I couldn't communicate with others as well as I did with him. Because him and I shared so much together, so many of the same experiences in life and day-to-day activities that...
I mean, does it get any deeper than sharing a womb? Shit.
He understood what I was saying to him without me really saying much.
Hey, it's 50 Cent.
And I'm Charlie Webster.
I'm Sha'ib.
This is Surviving El Chapo, the twins who brought down a drug lord. Season 2.
El Chapo's escape was so much bigger than the Flores twins.
It was labeled a national embarrassment to Mexico and the then President Enrique Peña Nieto. He and his government were already out of favor due to increasing allegations of corruption and violence.
El Chapo escaping meant that it got real between the U.S. and Mexico, especially as the U.S. had been pushing for El Chapo's extradition for exactly this reason. It was a symbol of deep corruption in Mexico.
At the same time, locals in Sinaloa were optimistic. News of El Chapo's return prompted parties and celebratory gunfire. While El Chapo had been in prison, his son Ivan Archivaldo had been running the cartel. Locals felt he was too unstable, and El Chapo's return would bring back order to the region. He was already viewed by many as a Robin Hood figure. Almost immediately, the Mexican government put out a $3.8 million reward for information, leading to El Chapo's capture.
That's a lot of money. $3.8 million in Mexico, you could have built a stronger prison he wouldn't have tunneled his way out of.
3 months later, El Chapo met with Sean Penn for that Rolling Stones interview. You know exactly the one I'm talking about.
Wait, how long
El
earlier?
Chapo's return.
The government put out a $3.8 million reward for information, leading to El Chapo's capture.
3 months later, El Chapo met with Sean Penn for that Rolling Stones interview.
Robin Hood figure.
Okay, Chapo, you was bogus for the champagne shit. and what was that lady's name? Kate Del Castro or some shit. Y'all tweaked. Y'all did yourselves dirty. You had no business doing a Rolling Stone interview with Sean Penn. What does Sean Penn have to do with, like, what happened? Did the CIA use Sean Penn as the foil to go find Chapo? Because what the fuck does Sean Penn have to do with the cartel, with Chapo, with any of that shit? You know what I'm saying? Did Kate Del Castro, or whatever her name is, meet Sean Penn and be like, you know what? I know somebody you should know. Like, that shit don't make sense to me. That's something that I will be covering. I'm going to get into that story because that story is a little deeper and dumber than it seems. Best part of that story was, when Conor McGregor did his Chapo impersonation. He was fighting somebody. He put on the shirt and went to do his Chapo impersonation. But please, that was a dumbass idea. You're on the run. You got out of a Mexican prison. You crawled out of a Mexican prison through a hole, and now you want to go do Rolling Stone magazine interviews and shit. Like, stop.
Almost immediately, the Mexican government put out a $3.8 million reward for information, leading to El Chapo's capture.
3 months later, El Chapo met with Sean Penn for that Rolling Stones interview. You know exactly the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, we know.
El Chapo's return strengthened the cartel's power. He was known as the internal fugitive. For the Flores twins, it meant even more uncertainty. Pete thought El Chapo would never be caught again.
I cannot believe he actually pulled that off. And I think that
There you go. Salutes to Oso in the chat. Kate de Castillo. Same shit. The Castro, the Castillo, potato. But yeah, she tweaked too. I gotta introduce you to my friend. Got her friend snatched up. Actors, don't get it twisted. You actors. You're not cartel bosses. You're not the queen of the South. You know what I'm saying? You're not. You're an actor. You're playing a part.
that alone probably kept the cartel in a situation of power. I think that escape was bigger than just him escaping for the cartel. When it should have been on its way out, it had this, a little more force to it.
They showed them some power.
You tend to feel like that's the team you want to be with when they get away with things like that.
Did it make you question what team you were on in that moment?
Nah, I'm gonna tell you something. I was impressed. But no, he's on the losing side. Everyone who's in that life is on the losing side. I don't care who you are. I don't care how many people you have with you. It's only a matter of time.
That's it. I believe that. It's just a matter of time. I argued before, if there are old drug dealers, we don't see them because they're quiet. And that's what helped them get old. You know what I'm saying? But eventually, the reaper comes for everybody that's enticing them. You know what I'm saying? And if you're enticing him in the game, he's going to come for you eventually. The reaper, the
Were you
badge.
concerned by him escaping and the continuous power of the cartel, that it made it more dangerous for you and your family? Were they more likely to come after you then?
Yeah, of course, that they're still real strong. But then sometimes I would think that would be scary if you thought they were gone. If you thought they didn't exist, I think it would be worse. Because sometimes
Didn't exist in what sense?
if you thought they lost their power and they just were completely disappeared. I think that's what happened in Colombia. Okay, they didn't have Pablo Escobar anymore, but that doesn't mean that there weren't people as powerful as him or with that kind of, control and power, in place,
There's always going to be somebody else. And that's the problem with the cartel in Mexico. That it's a foregone conclusion that if you take out the top guy, it's going to be 20 more of those guys lined up to take that spot. Not necessarily in no order. This is not a kingdom where the king's son. No, if the king's son ain't strong enough, he get run down by the next animal that wants that seat. So there's always going to be somebody in power.
Or maybe it was a lot more people, but they were still there. And I think when they're hiding in the shadows, it's kind of scary for me, to think that that sense of security, false sense of security, you think okay, they're gone. For me, I'm saying personally, they're not gone. I know they're not gone. I know they're there. At that point, there's one thing I knew for sure, that the Mexican government was going to be America, USA, do whatever you want to catch this guy. We're tired of him.
Right.
And from a business perspective, me being in the drug business and me still have been down there at that time, I would have been yeah, let's set him up because he's causing too much trouble. This whole drug business doesn't revolve around one person. It's not all about Chapo or all about Maya. It's a big, community of people that it takes to keep this going. And he would be a person that was just creating too many problems.
You get the impression, right, that the way it's publicised is if Chapo is the god and that controls everything.
He's a major figure, but there's a lot of people in this business.
Yeah.
And like he said, the idea of Mexico or cartel people in Mexico just saying, you know what, turn him over to the U.S. government already. He's causing more problems than he's doing good. Just goes to show you even more that turning each other in. You know, we all know that part of the game is living and dying. You know what I'm saying? There's a chance that the Reaper come for you while you're playing the game. But with them, it ain't that the cops just might pull up on you and pop you because you made a mistake. Nah, it's with them is they'll turn you in. They'll turn you over. They weaponize it. It's part of the game. I don't get it, but I guess it works for them or it doesn't.
But you know, like another thing that where I feel like my brother and I, like knowing him in a different level, not just like, you know, a more personal level, that I seen him being like, I seen his flaws, you know, I seen things that I disagreed with, things I didn't like, and like to imagine, again, that people died. Every time they were chasing him around, you know, he left, ran away, and people were left there to fight for him and die, you know? And then the thing, like, you know how many people, during those 6 months he was free, how many people probably lost their lives protecting him while he's evading law enforcement? Then he gets caught.
He got caught over ego. Again, same thing I felt about the mistakes that the Twins were making in season 1, about showing everybody the money and being too big, or the three B's and this and that. Chapo did the same shit. He did the same shit. Oh, Champagne, I like Champagne. Yeah, we go watch Champagne. All right, I am Sam. And then what happened? Kate del Castillo and Champagne. That was the linchpin that fell out that got you popped. Ego. Too much ego.
On January the 8th, 2016, tipped off in part after a large order of tacos, Mexican naval marines surrounded a house in Los Michos on the coast of Sinaloa.
Tacos sold them out.
They'd been scoping out the house for a while. Phone interceptions suggested someone high up in the cartel was coming. In the early hours of the morning, a huge gunfight broke out as the Marines entered the house.
A whole shootout, sound effect.
Arriba!
Ándale.
Suban! Un buen fight!
5 of El Chapo's men were killed in the gunfight, as well as 1 Marine. When they finally entered the house, El Chapo had once again vanished. He had 2 tunnels built into the house. One a decoy tunnel under the fridge, designed to confuse officials, the other behind a mirror. This was the one he fled through. It was almost the same length as the tunnel he escaped from prison in.
That's
the
crazy.
tunnel behind the mirror led to a street.
Because then he escaped through a bathtub tunnel once too. Shout out to God's Beauty in the chat. I'm still mad they snitched. I'm sure you're not the only one. And absolutely, Chapo should have stayed on the DL like Mayo. Yeah, I ain't laid eyes on a video of Mayo or heard the man's voice and none of that shit. And evidently, he could be alive, or it could be like Bin Laden. You think he's alive and he might not be alive. He might be dead. You don't know. We don't know. And if he is not alive, they can continue to use his name as power, or you know what I'm saying. But if he is alive, that's a gangster ass old man that then disappeared into the wilderness and shit. But again, it was the same thing with John Gotti. John Gotti was, shout out 03 North. That's the actual sound effects. Have you seen the video? I have not seen the video. Okay, that's what's up. I'm gonna look for that video. But same thing with John Gotti, you know. He became too popular, too seen. It wasn't just unwanted posters anymore. He was, again, just like Chapo, Rolling Stone magazine type shit, you know. Ego. The ego is different. These guys got a different kind of ego, man. You say that's why they're willing to smoke somebody like El Pirata de Culiacan. because you touch their ego, dog. They don't want no part of you touching their ego. They don't even realize they have an ego. They just know that they ain't like that, and they have to respond. They have to answer for it. It's where the interviews come from. It's where these Rolling Stone articles and all this shit. But Sean Penn, come on, I am Sam. What are you doing?
Street right near a Walmart. El Chapo was with his most ruthless, the other behind a mirror. This was the one he fled through. It was almost the same length as the tunnel he escaped from prison in. The tunnel behind the mirror led to a street right near a Walmart. El Chapo was with his most ruthless assassin, Ivan Cholo, or simply El Cholo. The two of them stole a taxi at gunpoint and sped away. The cab driver flagged down another cabbie to radio that he'd been carjacked. The Mexican authorities were listening. El Chapo and El Cholo decided to ditch the car to avoid capture. At the next traffic light, they approached a red Ford Focus. Inside, an elderly woman, her daughter, and 5-year-old grandson. El Cholo pulled out his weapon and forced them out of the car, but not before giving the woman her purse. He and Chapo got in, but by that time, the authorities had caught up. In a literal Mexican standoff, El Chapo told the police that they would all die. The cartel was readying a small army of 40 assassins to rescue him. The police took El Chapo to a local motel, the Hotel Deux, to wait for backup. The Hotel Deux is not just any old motel. It's a sex motel, which could be rented at the cost of 300 pesos, $16 for 6 hours.
Hey,
there's a famous
they took Chapo
the
to
Hotel
party?
Deux, to wait for backup. The Hotel Deux is not just any old motel. It's a sex motel, which could be rented at the cost of 300 pesos, $16
300 pesos, you catch something off the sheets in that hotel right there.
For 6 hours. There's a famous photo online that you can look at of a very filthy El Chapo sitting handcuffed on beige satin sheets in room 51. El Chapo desperately tried to bribe the police to let him go, but it was too late. Backup arrived and he was taken by helicopter to Mexico City. President Nieto tweeted, "Mission accomplished. We got him."
Got him.
He gets rearrested January the 8th or whatever. And then, like, within a week, the government's at my prison facility and I'm signing the extradition papers for Chapo Guzman.
Shit.
That was a real, like shocking, moment to be signing those papers. We hear about Al Capone and you have those bad guys, Al Capone, Pablo Escobar, and Chapo Guzman. It was like that moment in history that I never thought I would be a part of.
The call that Pete recorded of El Chapo was the key piece of evidence that the US government was using to convict El Chapo. So Pete had to be the one to sign the extradition papers.
For certain people in that case, like Chapo Guzman, once they're arrested, they put a package together. The American government would formally request extradition of a person, and the Office of External Affairs will handle most of that process. Mm-hmm. So you submit certain papers, like evidence that they have, and sometimes they want to know. They want to know something. They want to ask you a couple questions about, your testimony. Right. Just to do their due diligence and before they extradite someone that they have sufficient evidence.
Yeah, they want to make sure that you're gonna nail him to the wall. They want to make sure that he don't get through no more tunnels, no loopholes, no nothing. He don't come off that cross. He don't come off that wall. Shout out Goth Beauty. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but I really don't think that Chapo's in the ADX. If you watch the Chapo series, which was based on a true story, Chapo hired a lookalike. Quite possible. Anything's possible when you got that much bread. You know what I'm saying? But also, like I've said many a times, and being a writer and being an actor, I know based on a true story, it just means base. If the story is a pyramid, that last bottom roll of bricks, that's the base part. Everything else from there, usually bullshit. Those two, 030 North, those two cops ended up dead. I'm not surprised at that either. Yeah, those guys foiled Chapo's plan. I think for situations like this, where like people like North have video that I haven't seen, I think I'm gonna start. Y'all let me know if y'all will be down. I think I'm gonna start a Discord from my YouTube channel. That way we have a place where we could all commune and people could drop links and send me information and stuff like that. YouTube makes it a little hard for links in the comments and stuff like that. So I think I'm gonna start a Discord and put it up on the channel so that, you know, everybody could be in there, and whenever there's information like this, y'all could drop it, because I appreciate y'all, I appreciate the engagement, I appreciate the information. But yeah, it's crazy, boy. They want to make sure they're going to nail him to the wall. They don't want to extradite somebody over here and then have these dudes turn around and say, nah, this didn't happen, or no, this wasn't how I said it, and no, y'all wrote that down wrong, and no, they're there to confirm that it's going down.
Evidence, you know, to request them. You know, your testimony.
Right.
You know, just to do their due diligence, and before they extradite someone that you know they have sufficient evidence, you know, to request them.
For the US to seek the extradition of someone from abroad, they have to put in a formal request supported by sufficient and certified evidence that a crime has been committed.
So when did you find out that you got to stand up and testify against him?
He went to trial in November of 2018. It was just right before that, exactly a year to the date, like November 2017. They came to see me and just as a kind of a pre-interview of how I felt and about testifying, and was I going to be able to be a good witness.
So did they come to see you as in the prison, and then
yes,
you then, like, how does it work?
Yeah, they come, so my attorney was present. The Chicago office was present, the prosecutor's agents, and here comes the team, the New York team. There's like 8 of them. 8 prosecutors.
Where is it? In like a special room, or?
Yeah, it's actually our visiting room. It's our visiting room. They come in and you walk into the room and there's like all these people there, and you're just like, it's a little awkward. And they introduce themselves and kind of tell you what they're there for. I just want to go over some of the things about my case, and they ask you questions, you know, like random questions. Like, I told you, I'll never forget that she asked me, so how many languages do you speak? I said, I'm fluent in English, Spanish, and twin. The prosecutor looked at me like, what do you mean? I'm like, oh, my brother and I, we have a special way to communicate with each other.
That was US Attorney Andrea Goldberg asking Pete what languages he speaks. English, Spanish, and twin. If you remember back in episode 4, Jay talked about having to relearn how to communicate after being separated for the first time from his identical twin brother Pete. Twin talk is actually not uncommon. It's called cryptophasia, a form of autonomous language, and happens in up to 40% of all twins. While the siblings can understand each other just fine, no one else will have any idea what they're talking about. In the prison visiting room, Pete was surrounded by the team of attorneys the government had assembled for the El Chapo case. Pete worked closely with Assistant US Attorneys Andrew Goldberg and Adam Fels, both known and celebrated for taking down some of the world's most renowned drug lords and terrorists, including Colombian kingpins Juan Carlos Ramirez and El Loco.
I was fortunate, to have been chosen to work with Adam Fels. Yes, all my respect, he was like super intelligent, super, made me feel comfortable, patient with me. He understood situation. He was like the prosecutor that was in charge of like my prepping me, and he was gonna be the one questioning me. And talented people, like you could tell just from talking to them that they sent the best.
They sent the best prosecutors.
Talented people, like you could tell just from talking to
getting all acquainted with the prosecutors.
them that
Potential future. LifeLock detects and alerts you to the threats you might overlook during the first year at LifeLock.com.
Provided to U.S. and U.S. territory.
And what to expect.
.com. Must mention this promotion and be treated in...
Was going to say. Of the phone call with
both eyes on standard wavelength price, $500
Here we go.
for one eye. Cannot be combined with any other offers. Go to mylasicoffer.com for details.
Damn, dog. Twisted.
Pete was the one on the recording of the phone call with Chapo, so he was the only one who would need to testify.
Really?
He spent a year prepping for the trial.
I tell you what, I always thought that was Jay. I always thought that was Jay. My bad, I didn't mean to rewind it right there.
Pete was the one on the recording of the phone call with Chapo, so he was the only one who would need to testify. He spent a year prepping for the trial, primarily with Adam Fells. Each month, the team would stop by and go over the details of the case and what Pete was going to say. They did mock trials and did as much as they could to prepare Pete for potential cross-examination from El Chapo's attorneys. Finally, as Christmas of 2018 approached, Pete had to make his way across the country to El Chapo's trial in New York.
The last time I seen the prosecutors in my prison, they were like, okay, next time I'll see you will be, New York. That's nerve-wracking to feel that the reality of it begins to kind of set in, and I'm like constantly anxious. Like it brought so much like stress to me, and it shouldn't have, but it did.
Why shouldn't it have?
I can't sleep. I can't think. I'm not hungry. I'm not. The reality of it begins to kind of set in, and I'm like constantly anxious. Like it brought so much like stress to me. And
why wouldn't it bring stress to you? You're going to testify against the biggest cartel leader that we've known in the last, however long. I'd expect some anxiety, especially when it got real. All these things that worked up to this moment, all these things that worked up to this point, all this time of getting kidnapped and returned and rescued and the beef between the two cartels and having to make the choice, and then having to get the phone call, then having to get out of there, having to get your family out of there. Like all of these things led to this. You should be anxious. You should be anxious.
It shouldn't have, but it did. Like I can't sleep. I can't think. I'm not hungry. I'm not. I'm praying about it every day. Like,
what do you think drove that overwhelming feeling? Do you think it was the anticipation, the anxiety, the fear, like
everything? I think everything all balled up into one, like just everything, like those feelings, and like of course, like dealing with my own emotions, like thinking about even my dad, like this is the biggest form of lynching you could do,
Did his words come in your head?
Of course it did, A lot of people cooperate, and they never see a courtroom, and I thought that was going to be the case.
Good luck
and
with that.
It was so nerve-wracking. I remember them finally kind of telling me, like, get ready that morning. It's like 7 a.m, like, get ready.
Who told you this? Did they come and knock on you?
Yeah, like the staff comes and tells you, like, get ready. And the phones are off, and they do, certain things for security. So they don't come till like 9:30. So those hours were like...
Oh, God, I can imagine it was torture. What were you doing, like pacing?
Yeah, pacing just, and they come with their bulletproof SUVs, and they shackle you, and they put you in the back of a armored vehicle with the windows covered. And they always pick like a nearby like airfield, so you're not on the road for a long period of time. And then they pull you up to the private jet, and there's more agents there waiting for you, marshal agents. They're in charge of your protection. And we all cram up into this little jet, and it was the most uncomfortable 5.5 hour flight. Like sitting there, like unable like to stretch my feet or anything, and being sick to my stomach, you know, like nervous, just thinking about what's to come, thinking about my family, like so many emotions.
Were you like shoulder to shoulder with the...
Yeah, with it, and then, you know, one in front of me, his feet are stretched out in front of me. I can't even, you know, sit comfortable, and I'm shackled, so it makes it a lot more uncomfortable. They usually give you like, you know, some street clothes like to travel, because, you know, the pilot doesn't know who you are. You know, no one knows who you are, and I'm just like in some regular sweats. Such a long ride, and we fly into somewhere like Connecticut or something, and then we have a long ride in traffic, and I'm shackled by this time. Like, I'm already tired of sitting, and my back hurts, and I'm anxious, and I'm worried, and I'm sick to my stomach, and I haven't ate.
Showtime.
And they're playing like this awful classic music. I can't look out the window. You know, and it's felt like torture. Like, I should have got time off just for sitting in that back of that truck. I felt like, I told them, I said, I need to tell you guys something. I said, the ride I took with the kidnappers was better than this.
Damn.
They just laughed at me. It was just, you know, I think the stress was already kind of built up.
How many do you reckon were in that convoy?
In that convoy, probably 12 at least, marshals.
Damn.
And then you get there, I'm like, where are they going to put me? Then, you know, every prisoner understands what it is to be transferred from prison to prison into another unit or whatever. You're like, you're going straight to the hole. You know, so on top of that, you're going straight to the hole. And
is that what happened every time then? You got transferred anywhere?
Yeah, most of the time, yeah. So
there are a few different reasons you might end up in solitary confinement, or as Pete refers to it as the shoe or the hole.
I would say they don't want you talking to nobody. They don't want you out there letting people know what happened or where it happened or how it happened or telling any of the information that he's telling them right now about the plane, about the car, the 12 guys in the convoy. I'd assume they don't want none of that.
Disciplinary reasons is just one of them. Often prisoners are temporarily put in solitary confinement for administrative reasons, for protection, or while being transferred. That's why Pete ended up in solitary a lot. Pete was taken to MCC New York, the same prison Jay was taken to when the twins were first separated because of the billboards. If you remember, he described it as the worst place and told us that prisoners prepared the food, adding a couple of dead roaches for flavour. It's where Jeffrey Epstein was held, and as Pete arrived...
It's where Jeffrey Epstein miraculously did himself in, you know, which I don't believe. That's another case, Goth, that I say they hired a lookalike. They didn't even have to hire a lookalike for him. They just, you know, threw a body down there and then dragged dude out the back door.
It also happened to be where El Chapo was being held.
So we go and they pull in, and I'm not sure where I'm at, but they're walking down these long hallways, and it's dirty and ugly, and they come into like the receiving area of the MCC. I remember the marshal came up to the glass window of MCC New York here, and he like bangs on the window. They have like a sliding bulletproof glass door, and it's like almost like a drive-through, kind of like, hey, can I help you? And then there's a woman there, a short, like Latin, like woman, Puerto Rican or something. And she curses his ass out, like, what the fuck do you want? What the fuck? Give me your ID. Like, talk something like that. I'm like, I'm in New York. That's for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in New York, and they pull you in, and you get that, you know, the MCC uniform.
What's the MCC uniform?
Just like blue garb, like blue pants, blue shirt, and there's a box with like prison clothes. You know, like when you go out, they'll put your stuff in a box, and you gotta get fresh clothes in, fresh clothes. You know, fresh clothes to leave out, and the clothes you come in, you can't take with you. They'll give you those you left behind. For security reasons, they don't want you to, switch clothes or whatever. And they got like a cubicles, like
locker cubicle.
Bruh, I don't understand, and I get it. They wanted to stretch this story out into into a season 2. They wanted to have these guys sit down and tell more story. Mind you, I don't know how many sessions they sat down to tell these stories for this particular podcast. But these last 3 podcasts just been like, yo, so they had a bathroom, and the bathroom was off to the left. And if you went down to the right, there was an office over there, and there was this lady that was sitting there. She just looked out of place. And then, if you walk down this other hallway, you get to this slide, this razor bait slide. And if you slide your ass down there, you land in an alcohol river. And it's like, yo, what are you people talking about? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like they're stretching out these episodes. They could have made them a lot shorter. We don't need to hear about the cubicles. We don't need, we don't need to hear about, okay, cool, the lady was from New York. She said this, that, the other. And I don't blame the twins. I don't even blame, I don't even know that I blame Charlie, the interviewer for it. I blame the production itself that y'all just dragging this out. Just dragging it out.
Like open, just open little square shelving, kind of like that. And
kind of square shelves against a wall.
Yeah. I'm like, what floor Chapo on? They're like, that's his clothes right there.
Damn.
And I was like, that felt weird to see his clothes. Because they put mine right next to his, I was like, we're probably the same size.
Oh my God, that must have felt so strange.
That was weird, to know, man, we're in the same building. That's weird.
Did it feel kind of more real when you, were there his clothes?
Yeah, of course it did. I feel like not only they're his clothes, that means that he's right in the same building with me.
Turn around, he's behind you.
It brings back that little, anxiety a little bit. It's such a, intense feeling that overcomes you, that you feel over and over and over. They walk me down, they move me through the building, and I kind of get the feeling like I'm going to their special unit in MCC, the WITIC unit, and that at least was a little bit better than the show. And there's a couple of people that I already knew that I was in another prison with before, and a couple of people that knew my brother. It makes it less kind of awkward, and they put you in a cell, and they put me with a cell with someone I was familiar with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so someone I knew.
What, from prison?
Yeah, he was a terrorist. And he was accused of terrorism, and he was going to get sentenced.
Turns out, for the first time, Pete didn't end up in solitary as part of his transfer. Instead, he ended up cellmates with a terrorist. Abdul Rahman al-Barnasawi pled guilty to planning a major terrorist attack on New York City. He said he aspired to create the next 9/11 by bombing Times Square, the New York City subway system, and shooting people at concerts. He was sentenced to 40 years in prison the day Pete went to testify against El Chapo.
That Friday morning, I have a legal visit.
Hold on.
The New York City subway system and shooting people at concerts. He was sentenced to 40 years in prison the day Pete went to testify against El Chapo.
40 years.
That Friday morning, I have a legal visit at MCC, and my attorney's there, and the prosecutors are there. And we're kind of going through everything again. I hear them talking, and that was the last time I was going to get to see my attorney, because they're going to move me to their safe house where I was going to continue the debriefing, and the prep. Just very stressful. That Saturday they come and they get me ready, and the marshals take me to the safe house where I'm meeting the prosecutors and the agents, and we're doing the prepping, going over stuff. And I remember like one of those moments, like we touched, a lot of them, like little moments that really, like, that hurt to talk about. Stuff about my dad, stuff about my brother. And
Were they asking you those things?
yeah, they're like, look, man, this conversation is gonna come up.
About your dad?
Yeah, they might come up. Like, we just got to walk you through it because they're gonna come up. Like, if I was them, I could use this,
Yeah, so they were trying to cover every single thing that might come up.
Mm-hmm.
And try and make sure you prepared for it all.
And they were good at that. Like, I like to think that Chapo had great lawyers, but I think the government had better ones. I remember like that Sunday, it was like Pete, the next time I see you, it's gonna be in the courtroom. And I was like, no way. Like, I can't do this. Like, this ain't for me. Like, I can't do this. I don't think I can help you. And then we're like, you got it, man. You're gonna be good. Just go in there and just tell the truth and you're gonna be fine. And the things you did. And they're embarrassing to me though, They are. I didn't sleep Sunday night. It was rough. It was rough, and I thought I was gonna be able to like wear some simple clothes. You don't get to do that. You're just wearing your regular prison clothes. Whatever they give you, that's what you're wearing.
To court?
Yeah. You go in there with some prison cards, they got like rips in them. That's what I wore. Whatever they give you. And I'm sick, like really sick, like mentally, like just not feeling like myself. It sucks to be in a situation like that. I remember them coming to get me, and I was so like stressed out, man. My knees felt weak.
And what did your body feel like?
Weak and tense and not healthy, like.
He just told you his knees was weak.
I remember feeling like that when I first got kidnapped, like where my knees got weak and I wanted to run. I don't know where to run but I wanted to run somewhere, and it just felt like that. Upset stomach, like just. And they come get me, and they're taking me back out the way I came in. And like there's a box with Chapo's clothes.
Chapo's clothes again?
Again, I see it. I know he's gonna be transported too.
They're gonna throw you on the back seat together, cuffed, and let y'all scrap it out. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, man, they dragging ass. Let's get to it though. We're gonna get to this courtroom. I'm hoping we get to the courtroom this episode, that they don't be like, so then we got to the courtroom, and we got to the court, to the building, and we walked up the stairs, and we went through the door, and we made a left, we made a right, we saw an old lady with a dog. Like, enough. Get me in the courtroom, get Chapo in the courtroom, let's get it popping.
I can't stand my content. $1,000 off their Wavelight laser when treated
For coverage, there can still be out-of-pocket.
I remember going up to Brooklyn Courthouse, and they had tons of marshals that day. It's Monday morning. Tons of marshals, like everywhere you look.
Okay, marshals.
It's cold out too. I don't have a jacket, I'm cold.
So you're just in your prison ghetto?
Yeah, and it's cold in New York in December. I'm probably cold on my own already because I'm stressed out and my nerves are kicking in. And they take me up to like the 4th floor. We're going like up the back stairs, and I remember aluminum.
Yo,
like, when you're looking at the courthouse,
we done got to the 4th floor up the back stairs. I was right.
I was looking at them. And they take me to like where they have jury rooms. Really nice.
I gotta get this whole description in.
Picture where you were seeing the news, but instead of you looking at the courthouse, I was looking at them. And they take me to like where they have jury rooms. Really nice leather chairs.
Leather chairs in the jury room.
And They sit you down and
Then they stand
you
you
and your
up.
12 agents, they're there to protect you. On the way before we left the prison, though, they grabbed me a sack lunch. And they gave it to me, like, here, you're hungry. 4 pieces of bread and 2 pieces of cheese. And the fruit, the milk. Sitting there, maybe hours went by, like, waiting. I remember around 11:30. Here comes, the prosecutors, and they're like,
Bruh, I'm ratting out the biggest drug dealer in the world. You gonna give me more than 4 pieces of bread and 2 slices of cheese, goddammit. You know what I'm saying? Like, the kids on First 48, they get a Baconator from Wendy's. You know what I'm saying? A large pop, some fries. They get something. You're gonna give this guy 4 pieces of bread and some cheese? Y'all bogus as shit. Y'all bogus.
we're gonna bring you in. You ready?
Bogus.
And the fruit, the milk. Sitting there, maybe hours went by, like, waiting. I remember around 11:30. Here comes, the prosecutors, and they're like, we're gonna bring you in. You ready?
You ready? We ready.
No, I'm not ready.
Oh, shit.
No way, I'm not ready. I don't want to do it. You can be fine, okay, man? Just don't worry. I remember seeing Adam Fells and them, and seeing Adam Fells, and he just looked like different. Like,
Yeah, he was in a panic too.
a shower does you good, I wanted to tell him, because he just looked like a different person,
What, like fresher and smarter?
Yeah.
Oh,
they were
shit.
calling him the candidate. He had that kind of demeanor where I could see him being a politician. I'm admiring his nice suit too.
Oh yeah, you want to be
He's
a
like,
part of his
"We're gonna come
campaign,
get you
I'm
now.
sure.
Okay, you're gonna be fine. Okay.
And smarter.
Yeah. They were calling him the candidate.
The candidate.
He had that kind of demeanor where I could see him being a politician. I'm admiring his nice suit too. He's like, we're gonna come get you now. Okay, you're gonna be fine. Okay? I'll see you in a bit. Oh man, did I just feel so sick after that? I was just, thinking about it, I was just sitting there, on that leather recliner, just rocking back and forth, standing up and walking. And the marshal's insensitive, like, sit down, you're making me nervous. Like, you're nervous? Like, really? And a while later, they're like, okay, come on, let's go. You ready? All right, guys, let's go. So then everyone gets up, like, let's go. We're going out to the court. They go and they close this, make sure nobody's coming out, any elevators or doors. And here we go back up the staircase. We're going up.
Now they're going to back up the staircase. They're going to make a left. They're going to make another right-hand turn. They're going to touch the leather chair. They're going to get the fuck
out. 6 floors, I believe, like to the 10th floor where the court was happening. And we're on our way up, and we make it to, like, floor number 8 or 7. No, go back.
Go back.
Yeah, go back.
Left.
Everyone go back. Yeah, they said to wait. They had to wait. And here I go back, sitting in the court in that jury room again. I pissed 1,000 times, I think. Just nonstop going to the bathroom.
You were so nervous.
In my mind, I'm going, just do prayers.
What were you saying to yourself?
Just praying, like, just talking to God alone, just asking him to be with me. And Fells comes back, he's like, look, we got a little backed up, but we're working on it. We're gonna make sure we're trying to get you in there, okay? He goes. Like an hour and a half goes by. It's like near 4 o'clock. I've been sitting in this room stressed out since 9 in the morning. Another hour goes by, nothing. Like 5:30 or something.
You ain't the
6
star of
o'clock
the
almost.
show.
And he comes back and says, Pete, look, man, I'm sorry. We're not. The court adjourned till tomorrow.
Damn. Recess.
I was like, what? I just sat here and just tortured myself all day. And here we go again, back to the prison for that drive back to the MCC.
Y'all tortured us all day too.
What was that night like?
Bastard.
I couldn't handle that no more. So what I did is they give you like allergy medication and you take one and they make you like sleepy. But prayed and like I slept. I woke up feeling a lot better that Tuesday. Not ready to do it, but better.
Yeah, you done got all the stress
we
out.
Go through the same process again. Get my bag lunch, get my torn prison guards, and we go back. And I sit there again in the same room, just waiting, anxious again. Like, but then I'm thinking, like, this time it's for real. And hours go by again. I don't know, maybe 11 o'clock or so, they come and they're like, okay, let's go. It's time. And here we go again. Same routine. Go close the door, we're moving up there, you know?
Make it left, make it right.
And they stop again, like, no, go back. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you're driving me bananas. Like, go back.
Oh my God.
I
What was that
just like, what the hell are they doing? I would say like around 1 o'clock or so when they come again.
Come on.
What did you feel like at that point?
I felt just sick. Like I felt like just not myself. Like never. I'm like I've been living with this anxiety since I flew into this place, you know, and it's been uncomfortable and kind of horrific to be in this moment. But you gotta live through it for you to understand what I'm saying. If I could explain, maybe like receiving your master's or your PhD or a college degree and walking on stage and feeling so good, well, the exact opposite is what I kind of could feel like. And here we go again. This time they called me. The last time I remember feeling like, are we really going? But as we're going up the stairs, you know, it's bright, it's sunny out, super sunny that day. You know, it's cold still, but it's super sunny. The hallway, the staircase is cold. I'm freezing, like, it's freezing. And this time I make it, like, past the 9th floor. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, this is real.
Finally made it to the 9th floor.
Oh, I could feel my, like, breathing getting, like, a little bit short and deeper, you know. And they open the door and the path towards the courtroom is narrow, like kind of like narrow. And it's so clean. It's like white and bright, like the way you think about you open your eyes and you're seeing heaven, like that's how bright it is, because the whole floor is surrounded by windows and the windows are open, you know, no shades, and the sun is shining that day.
And the windows are 14 by 11, 15 by, like, come on, man. What the fuck are we doing?
And there's marshals lined up all around all down the hallway, like they're just standing there. I remember walking on the path and they're kind of walking me kind of fast, and you're just kind of like just walking, like I have no cuffs on. I'm just, you know, walking through this narrow hallway.
Walking.
And then I could see the courtroom door, like to the left. And I remember it feeling like horrible. Taking that first step into the courtroom and looking but not really looking, you know? And they kind of like guide me right into the witness seat, which is off to the left like that. And they just like sit down and I kind of sit down that chair, and I haven't even really looked up to get a glimpse of the courtroom yet. But I know there's tons of people in the courtroom still. And I remember the marshal leaned over and he whispered to me, like, just remember, he ain't shit here. He can't do nothing here.
Not there.
And then I sit down and I look up and it's just like people, like just everywhere, just walking around. I could see the benches where people would sit to view the case. I could see them. And I could see the cameras everywhere. And I hear them talking something about like the overflow area. Now I'm aware that there's more people in the viewing it from outside the courtroom. And I could see different people, and right away I could see like, you know, a woman off the background, and she like looking, you know, because it's far. It feels like it's a block away, like from the witness seat to the door. So to their main entrance. It seemed like a lawn, in a way. And I could see her, and then she grabs her binoculars. I'm like, what the fuck? I see, someone in a suit kind of looking at me, and he's walking towards me, and I could see him, and he's smiling. He comes towards me, like, he just gives me a thumbs up, and I see it's my brother's attorney. And I know what he's saying just because I've dealt with it. I've dealt with people, like, so much in that situation. I could see him telling me, like, you look just like your brother. From his demeanor, like, you look just like your brother, like, because I never met him personally, but and he gives me a thumbs up, and, he's representing Chapo.
Jay's attorney, Jeffrey Lippman, had previously defended, wait for it, John Gotti Jr., the son of the John Gotti who Sammy the Bull cooperated against. Yes, the same Sammy the Bull who was Pete's cellmate. Of course, Sammy the Bull's cooperation against John Gotti was what led to Jay's epiphany that he too could cooperate. Jeffrey Lippman is a top defense lawyer, and after working for John Gotti Jr. and Jay Flores, he ended up defending El Chapo.
How did that make you feel, the fact that your brother's attorney ended up representing El Chapo, that you're stood
That's
up
crazy.
against?
When I heard about that they had the same lawyer, that Chapo and Jay had the same lawyer, that's crazy. And here's the thing, that's a conflict of interest, but from what I understand, Jay signed off on that conflict of interest, signed off on allowing his lawyer to represent Chapo.
Were you worried that he could?
And Jay Flores, he ended up defending El Chapo.
How did that make you feel, the fact that your brother's attorney ended up representing El Chapo, that you're stood up against? Were you worried that he could use stuff that he knew about you against you? Seems strange, right? That he could represent Jay and then he can go and represent the person that you cooperated against. It just seems a bit weird.
I can say that. I don't think that for Mr. Lickman that he didn't get to be a successful lawyer by doing stuff like that. I don't think that even Chapo would be worth him doing it. I think his reputation is more important, Because if I can't trust him, no one can trust him, I think that he has to be, there's got to be some form of professionalism in that world. And at the same time, everything he knows, my prosecutors know. Because they acted as attorneys for my brother and I as well. But still, it is a little weird because he knows, like, he knows my wife, he knows
it's a whole
certain things.
clusterfuck.
He gives me a thumbs up, and then I see Andrea Goldberg. And everyone's, like, dressed to the nines. Like, I don't even recognize them. Everyone looks different to me, like, in their best clothes. And I'm looking around. I'm nervous. I'm like, I can't find my comfortable spot. I'm cold, and my mouth is so dry. I'm drinking, like, they have, like, small waters, like, right off to within my reach. I'm, like, just drinking the water. They're not helping me. And the marshal, like, you want a breath mint or something? You want? Like, he see it, like, I said, my mouth's so dry. And it's just nothing was helping me. My mouth was, I've never been experienced that kind of, like, dry mouth in my life. And I'm just like, yo, what's gonna happen? I could see, like, the defense table off to the left, and the courtroom's nothing like you see on TV. The courtroom's set up a little different where you do have the aisles with the benches for the audience or the people, right?
Don't tell us.
Like,
don't tell us what the courtroom's set up like. We
left,
know. Let me tell you
like
something, man. We know this courthouse in and out. We know the program, how they get there, how they don't get there, the logistics of the whole thing. We got that shit as down packed as the twins had the logistics of running drugs across borders, boy. We got it all figured out.
You see on TV, the courtroom's set up a little different where you do have the aisles with the benches for the audience or the people, right? And the little door, but there's just two beautiful long tables, like a couple long tables, like in the front, and then behind it, another long tables, and one of them's for the defense table, and the other one's the government's tables. Beautiful leather chairs, and and beautiful wood everywhere. And I could see like the judge's seat, and I have to kind of like look up a little bit, and the court reporter's like sitting right in front of me. And slowly, I see the people like coming into the courtroom. More the prosecutors, more. I see my prosecutor, and he just waves at me from far away. And he seems distant, This is such a big courtroom, and the people are starting, piling in. And I'm like, at this point, like my nerves are the worst they've ever been. And the people are filing in, and here comes the jurors. And they walk in, and right away, as soon as they walk in, they're looking at the witness seat. And they're all staring like that, and they don't stop staring at you. And they're not that far away from me, but they just wouldn't stop staring at you. They're just staring at you like up and down. And I'm looking at them like, hey, that's one of the worst things, that they're looking at you like you're a zoo animal. And there's a lot of them. I'm thinking, I thought it was 12. There's like 20 of them, it seems. I guess you got the backup jurors or whatever. And I could see like the defense table starting to get a little more crowded, like people are coming in. And I see other people with binoculars in the back, and I could see that they're sketch artists too. Like they're drawing. I could see them sketching out. And as I'm sitting there, like nervous for like maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it felt like forever. I could like sit back on the table, I could kind of look, I could lean forward, and I could like see around the judges kind of like podium, kind of, whatever you call it. And I could see that there's a door right opposite of my door. And I see them kind of open it and close it. And then I look and I see that there's marshals there, and I'm like, yeah. And then I look and I see them open the door.
There he is.
I see that they're letting Chapo in.
They dragged our ass through that whole courtroom just to open the door and tell us there's Chapo. Hold on, let's make sure this is it.
Surviving El Chapo, the twins who brought down...
All right, y'all. We made it to the end of the tour, all right? How did you guys enjoy the tour of the New York courthouse where Peter Flores had to testify against El Chapo Guzman? It was a beautiful courtroom, beautiful stairwells and windows and leather seats and long, beautiful tables. It was an amazing place. There were so many marshals, marshal after marshal after marshal after marshal. They were everywhere. There were doors, there were binoculars, there were people, there were chapos, there was, shit. Listen, again, I don't blame the twins are there to tell their story. They're going to tell their story. It's up to editors and production to keep the show entertaining. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like these last 3, 4, maybe this whole season so far, they just been dragging ass and dragging it out. The revelations, there wasn't many revelations in here. The revelation in here was same lawyer, Chapo and Jay. Revelation. What other revelation was there? They talked up the twin telepathy, the twin talk, the twin language a lot, but they didn't give us any examples of it. Like, it had nothing to do with this episode. Why? Because they're just stitching shit together. If you ask me, I would have made this one long, from season 1 all the way to the end, one long season rather than dragging it out. But we're here. You know what I'm saying? We're here. We're enjoying it. We get our points. We're already invested. I hope that y'all stick with me the rest of the way, because I will be here the rest of the way. But it's my place to put my judgment or my opinion. my opinion on what it is. And my opinion is that they're dragging ass, just telling us about nothing to fill space that they didn't have. If that's the case, make season 2 6 strong, good ass episodes rather than giving us 12 or 8 mediocre ones and then 4 good ones at the end. You know what I'm saying? But we shall see. I don't remember how many there were last time, but we're on episode 6. But we've made it to the courtroom. From my understanding, they're in the courtroom. The only thing he could describe to us next week is the witness chair, because he's gonna be sitting in it, doing what he got to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's pretty much the big revelation that we got from this episode, was just that, Jay and Chapo had the same lawyer. Other than that, to me, it just felt like a tour of the courthouse, a tour of the process of testifying against somebody as big as Chapo. And the most exciting part of this episode was y'all in the chat. I appreciate y'all in the chat. Thanks for being here. Please hit that like button. We'll be back next week. Don't forget that tomorrow, Cartel Wives, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Cartel Wives Chapter 4. As far as Surviving El Chapo Episode 7, I'm looking forward to hearing what happens in the courtroom. I don't want to hear about what happens in the hallways anymore. I don't want to hear about what happens in the back of the Jeep, unless they put Chapo and Jay and Pete in the back of the bulletproof and let them scrap. I don't want to hear about it. But we are at the mercy of what they give us, so it is what it is. I tell you what though, if this is in podcast form, but if you look at this in the form of a long running, 4, 5, 6 season TV show, it's a hell of a TV show. You know what I'm saying? All of those things that they just told me they could show you in seconds, and you'll just get the point. You know what I mean? But yeah, so it is what it is. Again, I appreciate you guys in the chat. Shout out Old Soul. Shout out Goth Beauty. 030 North. Shout out to you. Again, I'm gonna start a Discord for the channel. I'm gonna put I'll put up a community post on the channel with the link to the Discord, and I'll continue to have the Discord in the description. So for things like this, you know what I'm saying? 030 North, when you get in that Discord, if I haven't found it since then, if you can, send me the link to the video of that, of when they ran down on Chapo in that house, or ran down on Chapo's people in that house. But yeah, so I'm going to do that. Again, I appreciate y'all. Have a great Wednesday afternoon. Hopefully this podcast steps its game up next week. Either way, we will be here. I appreciate y'all's support. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. And have a great day. Be safe. Peace.